Shabbat Shalom. Our unreal world. How can a human being live forever without knowing himself and without knowing his creator? Obviously, I'm not talking about physical knowledge here, although the science and the power that sustains all of this physical creation is totally behind us, to the point where we idolize it. No, the one who created us acts on another level with us through this physical creation. He has given a conscience to the man, a spirit which is aware that it exists and that it can have capacities others than simply to feed, to dress. And even to dress is the characteristic of the human. Your dog, your cat, does not think about that. The human being is even aware that he has a conscience which wants to tell him that it is good to do it, while that it is not good. But even with the consciousness of existing and the consciousness of having a judgment of what can be good and what can be bad, that he calls consciousness, and is part of an abstract word sense and tangible to touch. We cannot see it, and yet this invisible word very often manages our lives and what we can see. Human beings judge themselves by the actions of other human beings. They are good or bad, depending on whether they are better or worse than other human beings in their actions. This is how they think they know each other, and his experiences continue to build an unreal world in him, according to what he perceives of this real world outside him. This unreal world in him becomes, however, sadly, his real world inside him. And that is why we can bring tangible, real proof to people, but they will be incredulous and incapable of accepting a reality other than the unreal world in them, which they have declared to be real and intangible. Sure. How can human beings know themselves? At his birth, the human beings to inherit a world with bad, twisted bases. Over the centuries, the bloody history of this world testifies to dictators having only one goal: to dominate this visible world, all cost. By accomplishing the worst hour. It doesn't matter to them. The dictators' cruelty demanding is only an obligation to achieve their goal. And then there will be less adversary if we make them die. And then if we make them die cruelly, there will be less people who will want to rise as adversaries. It sounds simplistic, They're like that. But this dictatorship are the image of all the little dictatorship and dictators that we have seen since our childhood. Violent ones who want to dominate by terror in schoolyard, cunning who dominate them. And the dictatorship continues at different levels at work or elsewhere. And that, of course, is without talk about all the perversion that human flesh has to develop by wanting to enjoy all the sense of this physical world. Lying, evil, murders, adultery are common currency in this world. The unreal world which we have built ourselves internally is dominated by our sense, our flesh, and form our thought and govern our actions in the real world where billions of people interact from their unreal world. And this unreal world is a fortress, well protected by multiple real experiences, and by a demonic world which inspires the unreal world to act unceasingly for the purpose of their own personal little dictatorship to obtain as much as possible others in this visible world, regardless to the harm that can be done. Think here, adultery. The unreal world built on submission to the desire of our flesh is without love. He can talk about it, write books on the subjects. He does not know it. All he wants is to get, and love for him is to get from others. That's why so much friendship breaks. When a person sees that he no longer has an advantage in this friendship, nothing more to get, and even rather lose, then he breaks the friendship. That did not go any further because his unreal world does not know that the fidelity of the relation. This one is dominated by the small interior dictatorship. The dictatorship demands getting a better job, a better status, a better salary, a better possibility of looking good, a better group of friends, more visible in society, getting a mistress, a lover. Everything is justified for the little dictator, for the inner unreal world. Between cunning little dictators, humans look at each other and say to themselves, that is intelligence. They will be ashamed to admit it in public. There are people who are not dictator enough to understand, not wise, not intelligent enough. And I repeat, this word is a fortress of multiple human reasoning, yours like those of others, which have been accepted for true, a fortress of the diabolical reasoning which you have accepted. Take with me Genesis 3 verse 1. Genesis 3 verse 1. Take note. The serpent was the most cunning the most subtle of all the wild animals that Yahuwah Elohim had made. He said to the woman, "Did Yahuwah really say, 'You will not eat of all the trees in the garden'?" Here is a diabolical reasoning. The devil questions the word of the Creator in the minds of humans. Genesis 3 verse 4, 5 and 5. Then the serpent said to the woman, "You will not die, but Yahuwah knows that the day you eat it, your eyes will open, and you will be like God, Elohim, knowing good and the evil." After the doubt in the words and therefore the motivation of Yahuwah, the devil immediately put the thought of dictatorship. You will obtain the status of Elohim, a powerful creator. You will be. Who will you be for? You will be in front of everyone who sees you. But there was only Adam and Eve, yes. But before the eyes of the serpent and of all behind of heaven of Yahuwah, they will be all powerful Elohim's pride. What one may be in front of others, pride therefore goes with dictatorship. You can get status, power. Adam and Eve were going to leave the real world, or one is true, very true, before the Heavenly Father. They were going to start their started their unreal world. They were starting to build their fortress where the master voice no longer dominates. Since then, we have dominated our dictatorship and that of the devil in human history. An impurity entered the human heart. If the human being knew himself, if Adam and Eve had known each other, he would know that he was not created to be dictator, master of the world, but to serve as a useful vessel for the flow through them of Heavenly Father's love for others. Impurity. This dictatorship entered the human heart. It became defiled with the possibility of giving him the power of an eternal life in the kingdom of Yahuwah. The defiled mind, the dictatorship, will have no end. And if humans receive an eternal body, which is this dictator's heart, it will become new demons, new devil, rebels to love. Adam and Eve did not turn to the tree of life. They did not turn to their creator to ask, "Who are you? You who trained us and gave us everything we need. What is your goal? What do you want to do with us in eternity?" And it is the serpent right to say that we must doubt your words, your motivation? And without knowing each other, and without knowing their Creator, they believed in words which lead to dictatorship. You will be. You will get. You will judge of what is good or bad, in order to be and obtain. And since that day, humans have been dictator according to the power they have over others. This dictatorship may be large or small, but it is still there. She entered with pride. She must go out with humility. She lived with the idea of the dictator and must disappear with the idea of serving. We must admit that we are creatures, trained so that the love of the Creator flows through us for others. We need to know who we are. And we need to know who is our Creator. All He is love, just, holy, pure, mercy, compassion, and all His voices are right. Take with me Romans 8 verse 29. Romans 8 verse 29. Paul said, for those whom He knew in advance, He also predestined to be like the image of His Son, so that His Son will be the firstborn among many brothers. Take 1 Corinthians 15 verse 24 and 25. 1 Corinthians 15, 24. Then we'll come to the end, when He will give the kingdom to Him who is Elohim and Father, after having destroyed all domination, all authority, and all power. For He must reign until He has put all the enemies under His feet. And 2 Corinthians 3 verse 18. All of us who, with our faces uncovered, contemplate the glory of the Master as in a mirror, we have been transformed into the same image. Take Colossians 3 verse 10. Colossians 3 verse 10. And having put on the new man, who renews himself in knowledge, according to the image of Him who created him. Take 1 Corinthians 11, 1. 1 Corinthians 11, 1. Be me imitators, as I myself am from Mashiach. And take Ephesians 5, verse 1 and 2. Ephesians 5, 1. Therefore, become imitators of Yahuwah, like beloved children, and walk in love, as also the Mashiach loved us, and gave Himself for us as an offering and sacrifice to Yahuwah, in a good smelling fragrance. This facility to accept the voice of the dictatorship implies that human nature is easy to turn to evil. Sad. Which it will even call this evil good, since it gives it the dirty desire of its unreal word. What the human being does not realize is that this unreal word leads him to eternal death. Heavenly Father cannot accept dictators who think only of them in His kingdom. And human beings do not know their Creator so much that they worship trees, plants, earth, icons, statues of gold, silver, stone, wood, and sacrifice their societies, their religions, their lives. And it is not real human sacrifice to obtain the power of the devil who acts in the unreal words of human. Strongholds of human reasoning that live in us in our unreal world must be brought down. Sure. Take 2 Corinthians 10 verse 3. 2 Corinthians 10 verse 3. If we walk in the flesh, we do not fight according to the flesh. For the weapons with which we fight are not carnal, but they are powerful by virtue of Yahuwah to overthrow fortress. 2 Corinthians 10 verse 3 to 5. In version Cherokee, he said, yes, walking in the flesh, we do not fight according to the flesh. The weapons of our strategy are not of the flesh, but powerful in Elohim to beat the fortress, to overthrow the false reasoning and all exaltation rising against the knowledge of Elohim, making all thought captive to obey the Mashiach. Another version, verse 5, 2 Corinthians 10:5 said, we overturn reasoning and every hate that stands against the knowledge of Yahuwah, and we bring all captive thought of the obedience of Mashiach. The captive thoughts of the thoughts of the words and the devil's lies are released to become captive to Mashiach, to obey his word and the real word. In the real word, we must worship Yahuwah, our Father, with all our might. This is prevent us from rebuilding any unreal dictatorial world, and love our neighbor as ourselves. In Matthew 16 verse 24, Matthew 16:24, so Yahusha said to his disciples, if anyone wants to come after me, let him renounce himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses it because of me will find it. Make our unreal world, the dictatorship, die on the wood of our execution, the cross. No longer serve our dictatorship, but make it die to follow Mashiach and fulfill the words of love. It is the beginning of acting in reality. Be blessed.